And welcome back, RosterWatch Nation. This is the Garbage Grab with your friendly neighborhood Trashman here on behalf of RosterWatch.com, where we have all the fantasy information you will ever need to dominate your league from the draft throughout the championship. Today we're going to be talking about some of my right place, right time candidates in the NFC. Talked about my AFC guys last week. These are guys who aren't the most high-profile players, but just by nature of where they've landed in the offseason or who has left their current squad in the offseason, they are in the right place in the right time to do damage in fantasy this season. To get things started, I'm going with one of my favorite wide receiver candidates in 2016. It was Corey Coleman, who landed on the Cleveland Browns, then went to the Buffalo Bills. He's been injury-plagued throughout his career thus far in the NFL. But he's healthy now, and he's the front runner for the number 3 wide receiver job behind Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard there in New York. Unlike both of those other guys, Coleman is a big play receiver. He can really open up the top. And he's got great hands when they're not broken. Behind him right now are Darius Slayton and Cody Latimer. Slayton he does have a lot of talent, but he's really raw. Latimer hasn't lived up to his potential yet in the NFL. So Coleman is a front runner for the job right now, and I think he's got a good opportunity to hold on to it for the majority of the season. I think he can do a lot of damage there as New York's big play receiver with Odell Beckham not in the picture. So I think he's a guy that you can pick up really late in drafts. You may not even have to draft him. You can probably pick him up on your waiver wire. But I think he's going to pay off for you this season for the Giants. Another guy who is in the right place at the right time this season is Trey Quinn of the Redskins. Came into the league last year, had an injury-plagued season, so he never really flourished there in Washington. But with Jamison Crowder gone now, and really a handful of other wide receivers there in Washington who haven't done anything since they've come into the league, Quinn has the opportunity to lead the Redskins in receptions, or at least for receivers. He's got a lot of talent, and Jay Gruden loves him, is excited about him. He said he's ready to watch him jump through the slot role and dominate the position. So I think, especially in PPR leagues, he's going to be somebody you want to look out for in fantasy this season. Up next on my right place, right time candidates is Ito Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. Coach Dan Quinn said he expects Ito to see a significant increase in offensive look this season. This is after Tevin Coleman has moved on to the 49ers. In Coleman's wake, I mean, he's averaged around 1,000 all-purpose yards and 30 receptions over the last 3 seasons, playing with Devontae Freeman. So Ito Smith is expected to take a lot of that action. I don't know if he's got quite the burners that Coleman does, but I mean, if he can get close to 1,000 yards and 30 receptions this season, that'll be great from Smith, and it'll be something well worth rostering him for on your teams. Up next, right place, right time, is Latavius Murray. You guessed it. He's always in the right place at the right time, it seems. We've perennially been haters. Well, I haven't been a hater of Latavius Murray from the start. But you know me, I tend to get behind those trashier players. But he's done well in Oakland. He's done well in Minnesota despite not being exceptionally talented. He's a big guy, almost 230 pounds, and he's coming in to take that Mark Ingram action in New Orleans behind Alvin Kamara. I don't expect him to be as dynamic as Mark Ingram was, but I do expect him to be used on the goal line. As I said, he's 230 pounds. So expect Latavius Murray to have another good to great season for his respective team. You can't knock him until he fails, and he hasn't failed recently, at least. Um, Up next, right place, right time candidate is Jordan Scarlett of the Carolina Panthers. He's a rookie out of Florida, 5th round, I believe. And he's come in to play behind Christian McCaffrey, who really doesn't have a backup that's been cemented. And the Carolina Panthers have said that they don't want to use McCaffrey as much this season. They felt like they were running the wheels off of him last year, although he performed really well, and he's still going to perform really well. He might lead the league in carries like he did last year, but expect Scarlett or someone like him to take up a lot of that slack. I think Scarlett has the best bet of those current Carolina running backs behind McCaffrey. He's 5'11", 208 pounds. He didn't do great at the combine, but he had fantastic or good straight line speed. He had a 4.47, and he knows how to create yardage. The Panthers need somebody to play behind McCaffrey, and Scarlett looks like the prime candidate. Up next, right place, right time. You guessed it, it's Randall Cobb of the Dallas Cowboys. Cobb is coming in to take the place of Cole Beasley, who's always done a pretty good job there for the Cowboys, at least in PPR leagues. I expect Cobb to be a little bit more dynamic. His last full season, he had almost 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, but that was 4 years ago. He hasn't played a full season in 3 years due to injury, but he's healthy right now, and if he stays healthy, he could be that third option for the Cowboys in the receiving game. First being Amari Cooper, and second being Ezekiel Elliott. Jason Witten is still in there. Well, he's back, and he's still in there. But I expect Cobb to be reasonably productive in the Cowboys offense this season. So I think he's somebody that you can pick up late and see what he does for you. Up next, right place, right time, is Danny Amendola. Another one of those guys who always seems to be in the right place at the right time, whether it's on the Patriots or the Rams or the Dolphins. I didn't have a picture of him playing for the Lions yet, so I had the next best thing, which is him playing against the Lions. He's coming in to take over that spot left by Golden Tate about halfway through last season. Between Golden Tate and TJ Jones last year, they had over 60 receptions, 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns between the two of them. TJ Jones is still in Detroit, but his tenure may not be long there, and Danny Amendola is a better option in my opinion. So that's a lot of yardage. It's quite a few touchdowns and a lot of receptions that are on the table for Danny Amendola possibly. So I think you're going to use him as that slot receiver for the Lions. And up next, last but not least, well, maybe least, is Rashard Perriman, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, before that of the Baltimore Ravens. When he came into the league, I know he's one of Alex and Byron's favorite prospects. He never really panned out, whether it be from injury or just not really getting the opportunities he needed to do well in the league, or getting those opportunities and not doing much with them. He started to show up last season for the Cleveland Browns. He had 16 grabs for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns over the last few games for the Browns. He started to work in that offense. Now he is going to be a Buccaneer. He's going to be filling in that Deshaun Jackson role, that big play receiver role. Although really any of those Tampa Bay Buccaneers receivers, whether they're talking about Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, could be the big play receiver. But Rashard Perriman has wheels. He's got hands. He's got ability. All he needs to do is produce, and I think he's going to have that opportunity there in Tampa Bay. We've seen the third receiver produce in Tampa Bay for years, for the past few years with Jameis Winston. And I think Rashard Perriman also will have that chance. So again, these are my right place, right time candidates in the NFC. these are going to be guys you can get late in your draft, so it's not a high anxiety move you're going to have to make to get them. But they could do a lot of damage, or at least moderate damage for you, especially in PPR leagues this season. Anyways, that's it for the Garbage Grab today. Again, I am the Trash Man on behalf of RosterWatch.com. Give us a follow at RosterWatch, or give us a join. Get a subscription at RosterWatch.com. It's cheaper than a cheap cup of coffee. And I know it's going to help you in your fantasy leagues this season and to come. Again, on behalf of RosterWatch.com, this is a Trash Man. Until then, be ready.